If you're interviewing for an HR director position, knowing HR just ain't enough no more. People want to know how you can sit at the leadership table with executives and help them run the business. Now let's be clear, y'all, that's something we've been begging for in HR, because when I started HR 15 years ago, people were just coming in after the executive meetings and telling us what to do. We wanted to be seen as C-suite level managers, leaders, directors, and we wanted to be seen as valued partners in the business. So that's what they're looking for now. They're trying to see, what do you think about talent? What do you think about performance management? What do you think about organizational development? How are you impacting these things? What are you doing with culture? What are you doing with performance? What are you doing with costs? And ultimately, how are you impacting, improving, making better, achieving the company's goals? And to be honest with you, this is where experienced HR professionals struggle in their interviews. They have the experience, but they answer the questions like HR managers. Now it's time to level up. So I'm gonna walk you through the questions, how you should answer these questions, and how you position yourself as an HR leader and not just somebody that knows how to manage HR. As an HR manager, you may have thought, how do I manage HR effectively? But as an HR director, how does my HR strategy achieve the business strategy? Your answers now got to move you up to the next level, my friend. We are no longer talking about executing different tasks and getting things done. We're talking about how we can delegate, oversee, and improve and hit some goals. So focus less on task execution. What I need you to focus on now is strategy, impact, influence, organizational development, organizational impact, and definitely business outcomes. Now, the first question, like I say in every single video, when I tell you about HR interview questions and answers for any role, is always going to be this exact same question, because this is really a mood setter. It's really to set the tone. It's really to understand you. They try to understand where they should get at with these questions. And this is where people get a little frustrated, because people will say, well, they're not a culture fit. Well, this is where you can show that you are a culture fit, because in this question, the very first question is, tell me about yourself. Now, I've done an entire video to go through this because this question is just so important. It really kind of sets the tone. It really kind of takes the nervousness out for you and them, because mind you, you being interviewed, but they being nervous too. So I definitely want you to check this video out, because this video goes into full detail, and I don't want to do you a disservice by only giving you a couple minute answers, because the biggest thing you want to hit on is where your skills are. Please avoid talking about the EEO protections that you have. So don't talk about your spouse, don't talk about your kids, don't talk about what you do on the weekends, don't talk about your religion. What you really should be focusing on is your career over time. First, what may have attracted you to HR? That's a good way to start. And then what made you stay in, and what did you enjoy about it, and what draw you to this position? So essentially, kind of why did I leave the last role, but you don't want to hit on that directly. So again, I have that video there. The link is in the description box. Check it out. Now, the next question is going to be one that you absolutely got to hit. How do you align HR strategy with business strategy? This is showing your business acumen. This is showing how you know how to understand the business and to make sure that people and the operations of people really match hitting those goals. You got to start with, what is the business trying to accomplish? And then you want to tell them how you can help them accomplish those goals. And essentially every business trying to accomplish the same thing. All of them trying to make some money, trying to do it faster, trying to get the right people in the right seats to help them hit these goals. And you want to hit on how you help them get there. So some of the things you might want to focus on, or you might want to get the answers out of them, is like, what type of talent do they have and what do they need? What type of organizational issues do they have, and how you can help them rectify those issues? What does HR need? What's it lacking? And how can you help them like build it or change it? And obviously we got to hit on, how will we measure success? How do you measure HR success, and how you compare that to the company's success? And how do you kind of analyze if your HR strategy is helping to push that business strategy further? Again, this is where y'all are teaching your HR business acumen. Now the next one, number 3, is going to be, tell me about an HR initiative that had business impact. And should be easy, because one of the things that we always can hone in is recruitment. I mean, you always can talk about recruitment and training or onboarding, because how you set somebody up really sets them for success. You know, a stat I recently heard is that people determine in their first 3 days if they're staying with this company or not. So what are you doing leading up to their first 3 days to make sure that this person knows what they're walking into, and make sure that this is a fit for them, as well as being that actual fit for them? Some of the things you want to look at is productivity. How did your people, or the people you choose for this team, or you help managers choose the right people for their team, how did it impact productivity? How did it impact company goals? How did it help achieve more money? How did it save the company money? How did it produce more of the whatever the goal is that they're producing it? What are they selling? What are they giving out? What mission are they focusing on? How did what you do impact those things? Don't forget talking about how you reduce risk, how you may have reduced turnover. Those things are important because reducing risk helps them save money, right? They're not spending money that they probably would have to spend to mitigate this risk. And reducing turnover helps them save money because now we're not spending more money to find new talent. And a lot of times we think these leaders, I won't say HR leaders, but the leaders in general know what they're doing. Sometimes you got to help them. So how did you scale the leadership team as well? Question number 4 is, how did you influence executives who disagreed with your decision? Y'all, the same way we talking about combat, and the same way we talking about being upset with somebody, the same way we talking about proving our point. What we're going to do is understand where their point is that they're coming from, and this is what we want to share in this interview. And we also want to talk about the overall impact of the business and how you help them merge those things. How did you help them see that what they were doing may not have been the best for the organization? How did you give them an alternative direction on how they can do it in a better way? How did you help them to understand that maybe what they're doing is right, but let's do a few things before we get there? So that delayed gratification, and maybe they may learn that what they were really trying to do really didn't work. All the things you would lead them up to work before we even get to doing what they were doing. But you want to talk about how you helped them see that. How did you help them understand how this was going to make things better for them versus going for a quick knee-jerk reaction? I mean, the craziest thing is so many times executives too, they go for a quick, well, let's fire. Well, let's change this. Let's change that. Sometimes you need time to show things. And you want to say how you can help them see that, listen, over time, we can do these things to see how it impacts the business a little bit better before we jump to this decision. Question number 5 is, how did you approach workforce planning? Y'all, this is kind of where we're doing some forecasting, right? This is what we're looking at. Is the business growing? Did we get new business? Is demand increasing? And do we have enough staff for that? And how do we get enough staff for what we need? How do we determine the people that we need? Because maybe the staff that we have isn't what we're going to need to help with this new direction of business, right? So you want to focus on things like skills gap, your head count, your business impact, your business growth, succession planning, critical goals, maybe even job shadowing. You probably also want to talk about maybe creating a new management training or leadership program, because as business grow, teams grow, managers need more support. Don't forget to talk about organizational culture, because with organizational change, it's definitely going to impact the culture. Don't forget to talk about compensation. Compensation is huge as well. Is compensation changing? Is it decreasing? It's automatically going to increase, but how can we help it not increase too much? And don't forget that even though we're talking about the future now, beyond that future, what are the future capability needs that we may need past that? Now let's roll on into the next question. Question number 6. How have you built or transformed the HR function? Now this is where you want to talk about where the business or HR was when you started, what you did to analyze it or review it. What did you do to make those changes, and what was the result? Again, here we right back to the PAR method, right? Y'all hear me talk about PAR method in so many interviews, and so many videos, and we just gonna talk about it again because it really helps you talk about what was the problem, what actions did you put in place, and what was the result of that. You know, focusing on what the company needed in that moment and what you help it do in that moment will really help you show how you transform HR. Now let's roll into the next question. Question number 7, how do you develop leaders? Oh, this is a difficult one, y'all, but as a director, you should know how you're going to develop leaders. Not all the time is from having a goddamn meeting every week. Not all the time, please, for God's sakes, don't send them another email. What resources did you provide to them? What other external people did you bring in to help lead them? How did you help them work together and realize how they can work together to get results? How did you help them see some areas for improvement? How did you help them analyze their team? How did you help them analyze their business or the business unit that they're responsible for? How did you help them see how they needed to keep their eyes on the company goals? What you are not doing is solving leadership problems. What you're doing is building leadership capabilities. So you want to show how you help them get their toolbox together so they can get right. Not how you went in and be like, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this. No, you should use this. Over time, this should help you with this. But first, one thing I like to do is help them kind of self-reflect. I help them put the mirror on themselves in their department. What's the issue we really got at hand? Help me understand. Like, I kind of play devil's advocate, and that really helps me get them to get the tools they need, to get the thinking together, to get them positioned, to get them to trust me, to get them to know that I'm here to help them to get to whatever goals that they're trying to get to. Now, question number 8 is our next question. This question is, tell me about a major organizational change that you've led. This is where, if you have worked with mergers, acquisitions, divestitures, organizational changes, org chart changes, even a big impact on business, stuff like COVID, because COVID really impacted business a lot. You want to talk about those big things, those major issues that cause organizational change and how you led those things. So a lot of times this is going to include rapid growth or rifts, reduction in force, or organizational change as a whole. Maybe you lost some leaders. Maybe you need to reposition how the business is going. Maybe the goals overall for the company change. I think for me, my biggest thing is always mergers, acquisitions, and divestitures. Those things are so massive. But before doing M&As and divestitures, the biggest things for me was organizational reorgs. So I've worked in multiple companies where they decided, hey, the org chart is too heavy on this side, or we need to add in this to make things better. And so I talked through those changes. So definitely lean into those things yourself as well. So question number 9 is our next question. How do you measure the effectiveness of HR? This ain't where y'all gonna just go through and list all the things that you can list. This ain't no grocery list, my friend. This ain't no grocery list. You want to talk about the business problem, the HR metric that affects that business problem, your insight into that problem, the action that you took for those issues, and then what was the business outcomes. So it's so often that the best way to effectively measure HR are ways that people don't think of. Where did we improve employee engagement? Where did retention probably decrease? Where did increase? Where did turnover decrease? Like, where did we see employees actually coming in and talking to managers better? Sometimes it's literally just the mood and the environment. Where do we notice that people who once were like cats at each other's head are now like working together a little bit better and coming back to you like smiling? So you want to talk through those things on how you really help, measure how HR impacted those things. What were the things that you put in place that helped them get to where they are? Now, question number 10. I've had this question asked of me. And I tend to flip it back because if they didn't give me enough information, I don't feel like I can answer it. But I've also had it as an assignment and then used it to be my goals for my first quarter, which I personally loved. But this question is, what would your first 90 days look like on the job? Now, what you should do is make sure that you know enough about this company's pain points, what they're hiring this position for, or what this position is open for, and what skills you bring to help them get there. I never start any job without analyzing, without reviewing, without checking in, without really understanding what's going on. Too many times I would hear people coming and be like, well, what do I need to change? Well, you just got here. Like, how the hell you already know you need to change? You literally just got here. Do you even know how to, where your badge works? Do you have all your passwords and logins? So the first thing is I would get acclimated with the company and understand where I am. Where is all of my locations where I need to be? Who are the people looking for me? What are my system logins? Like the simple stuff. And then after that, you really want to analyze that business. And for me, one thing that's really helped is I would either do an employee tour where I talk to all employees, that include managers, leaders, directors, or I would do like a pilot tour, a pilot employee tour, where I get pilot groups of people together. And that's people who are your brand new people, your most experienced people, maybe all my managers in one, maybe everyone in a failing department together, everyone in a succeeding department together. But I get them in all individual meetings and ask questions and let them roll with it. So that helps me analyze the business, analyze the people, get a good insight of what's going on with the company. I also look into that company data. How have we ran this business for the last 6 months to a year? But I always start with analyzing. So day 1 through day 30, you want to absolutely make sure that what you're doing is listening and learning. You listening and learning, my friend. You're listening and learning. That might sound like you're not doing anything, but you should be making notes. I always carry with me a good old notebook. I start a new notebook new for every job. Them first couple of pages are going to be my logins and my passwords. The next one is where I'm probably going to write down about the company, like an overview of the company. I don't know why I do that. I think starting in talent made me do that because I'm trying to tell interviewees about the company. But that's another thing I do is write down stuff I need to know about the company. Like, what are some of the pivotal years? And then I have a next page of just contacts. Who are the people I'm contacting on a regular? Probably what time zone they're located in so I don't contact them at the wrong time, and what department that they work in, how long they may have been with the organization, that type of thing. And then I go into writing notes. Like I write notes as I'm evaluating for that first 30 days. So now your next 30 to 60 days is going to be a little bit different. Now you're going to assess and prioritize. You're going to assess. When you're listening and learning, you're assessing. You're not going to stop assessing. Please don't feel like assessing starts at a particular time, because honestly, I start assessing companies when I go through my interview process. So you want to make sure you're continually assessing and prioritizing. I tend to write like a little outline of like when I think I want to achieve this. And I tend to do them by quarters, like which quarter I think might work. Okay, this might not work now, but maybe for Q3, maybe for Q4, maybe Q1 of 2027. That's how I do mine. Your last 61 days to 90 days, you absolutely should be head into executing and aligning. Executing that plan, my friend. Start executing the things that you've assessed. Start putting them in place. Start announcing, communicating with people what you're doing, because the last thing you want to do is walk into an organization and immediately just dive into changes. So you definitely want to head on to that. But that should be your plan. That should be your plan. They ask you what you're going to do. That's what you're going to do, my friend. Now, usually I stop at 10 questions, but this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to give you a bonus, because this is an HR director position. We're really trying to nail this position, right? And this question is, what do you believe HR's role is in this organization? This is where you want to show that harmony. This is where you want to show that, hey, I'm working with everybody. I really want to help them improve. I really want to hit those business goals. I really want to make sure that I stay on target with the finances. It shouldn't just be that you're supporting the employees, which personally I struggle with that, because that's the main reason I dive into HR. And that's what I love about my career, is that I'm supporting employees. So I really personally struggle with that. I try to always say, hey, I know employees isn't the only things. I definitely want to hit on these things too, right? But for me, I struggle with that. So if you struggle with that like me, I'm here to tell you what you should also be doing, because you're not just protecting the company. Because now you look like you're picking a side. HR, I always say, is a neutral party where we're working for the company and the employees. I know people think differently, but listen, maybe that's why my career has had some bumps in the road, because I don't feel like I'm here to work just for the company, and I'm definitely not here just to work for the employees. I'm here to work for both sides. And sometimes I find myself with both of them upset with me. But you got to know that as a director, what you're focusing on is a good old balance, my friend. A good old balance. You want to help the employees. You want to help the leaders. You want to manage the organizational risk. You want to help the business performance. I mean, you automatically going to help employee performance, so you got to help the business performance as well, or you're going to impact the business performance. Because at the end of the day, you're just trying to help them with long-term company organizational health. Now, if there's one thing, because that's all my questions. I ain't got no more questions for you. But if there's one thing I want you to walk away from this, I don't want you going into an HR director or higher interview and think that you're trying to show that I know how to do HR. We passed some days, my friend. Now you want to show how you can impact HR and merge it with business growth and business health. From your resume, they already know you know how to do HR. So why are you focusing on that? Let's stay away from that and focus on something higher, because what we're trying to do is level up, right? Your interview need to show that I can manage HR functions. I can definitely help with senior leadership and making sure that they get the influence they need from HR, that I understand the business, and that I use HR to help the company perform better. That's the difference between being a regular HR employee or even a manager to leading the HR function. So if this is your first time watching a HR video, then welcome. I hope that you found a value, but if you already made it here, then you found some value in it, so please hit the like button. For those of you who are returning, I really, really appreciate you returning. So please do me a huge favor. If you're not subscribed already, please do me a huge favor and subscribe. That really helps my business, that helps the channel, that helps me continue to grow, that helps YouTube know that you're interested. So please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, and be ready for weekly videos. I try to put them out on Tuesdays, and so make sure that you're subscribed so you can get the alert for every single video. I'm so happy you guys are here and that you enjoyed it. I cannot wait to see you on the next video.